So any
Mm.
way I can give back, I'm always trying to.
Now, you mentioned a few things there about giving back, dedication.
Mhm.
Um, how do you manage your social life? I'm sorry, before we get to that, why do you like the underdog story? Because I like the underdog story. I always have considered myself to be an underdog. I started law school with a uh, I took the LSAT, of course, and I got a 131 two times. And I was like, hey, I'm not somebody listen, somebody in the United States of America is going to accept Jordan Gaither into their
Mhm.
law school. And it happened to be Vermont. And my first semester, I said, what I do? I get a 1.335, but I had people who believed in me. They said that doesn't make sense. You know, you can talk to us, you're intelligent. That's when I learned that I had some learning challenges, and I was able to, by the good grace of my Lord and Savior, stay in school. And Vermont will always have a special place in my heart.
Mhm.
My dean, my mentor, Dean Gardina, I actually failed her class. That was in Civ Pro. I got an F. And, she vouched for me, said she would be my mentor. I had to meet in my second semester, I had to meet with her 3 times a week. And when the Gunners and the A students didn't know the answers, I had to know. And this is this come off my this is going to my second semester. I failed the last semester. And I had to be a go-to person some of the time. And that pressure, that like, what's he gonna do? And in the back of my mind, like, what if I win? What if, what if I hit? What if my parlay comes in?
Yeah.
Not we don't advertise gambling here or anything. I just thought it'd be
Yeah.
funny. Wish it was. But what if you win? And I think just echoing the underdog story as someone that's been a survivor of suicide, that was always my thing that I always used to tell myself, like, dang, what if you send one more email? What if you make one more call? And sometimes I went long times without doing anything, but then I was like, what are you gonna remember you for? Like you would have did all that, and then you just end up like Franklin saying at the end of the show. Like it's like I don't want that. Like I wanted people to go, man, that's Jordan. Like he did that because I feel that the trials and tribulations that I experience are so that it can be helpful for someone else. Like when I become a billionaire, I want to give it away. You know, if I had 100 billion right now, I'd probably give 99 away because I think we need to be in the habit and practice of flexing on people. If you buy $100 million house, imagine if you bought $100 million worth of resources for people, right? And I think that from a policy standpoint and just getting your word across, that is what's really important in the underdog story, and that just really resonates with me because uh, you know, 7 years of suicide, anxiety, depression in a different city and state. And I felt like I was never going to get out of this dark hole. And it was tough. It was really tough. I've been to a few psych wards and things of the sort, but, I always just kind of like stuck with it. So when you said the underdog story, like that really resonates with me because that's really been my life. So,
You made it through, and you got to give yourself a pat on the back for that because, I think mental health and law is not talked about enough. And I think it should be talked about even in the entertainment space right now with there's so many layoffs and transitions and companies closing and merging, that people are going through a lot, right?
mm,
And I think we don't talk about the mental aspect of it or even being a law student. I don't know about you, but when I was in law school, like the orientation, they showed us Alcohol Anonymous or something like that, a web page and link and a phone number, because a lot of lawyers suffer from alcohol abuse because just the nature, I guess, of the profession. And so clearly, someone realizes, right, that mental health is a big battle that we face as lawyers. Our
mm,
job is to take on problems, even if it's a deal, the problem of closing a deal. Like everybody loves an announcement speech you make when a
yeah.
deal's closed, but so much paperwork, assets were moved. We had to get insurance
Mm,
policies. Like a lot was into this to close a deal. So you got to pat yourself on the back for making it through that and being a lawyer, being in this space, going through law school, creating your own company, a tech company at that, and just surviving this situation. There's something I live by when you mention the underdog, and I always say like God didn't bring me this far to leave me. I believe that
mm,
that's in the Bible in some text, right? It's
mm. Somewhere in there. Yeah.
God would not have like brought you to this point to leave you. You know what I'm saying? Like th-
Mm,
there's no way that there's no way that you got into law school, you did all the law school studying, you created this business, and it's all for nothing. You have to think about how creative he is. Like he put stars in the sky. We have light because he
mhm,
decided that. There's oceans and rocks and different animals out of his creativity. So if he's that creative,
mm,
he didn't stop being creative when he made, us, right? He made us with the same creativity and has a plan. And so it is to help the next person. So I love the underdog story because I want to see there are a lot of stories that we're never going to hear about because people are going to give up. I want to see that come to pass. And I believe that there's enough room for everybody. I'm not taking anybody's spot. The job that's my
mm,
job is not your job, but you have your own job. The company
mm,
that's your company is not my company, but that doesn't mean there's not
mm,
space for your company. I don't care what's going on in any industry with horizontal integration, vertical integration. I don't care.
mm,
It doesn't matter. What's for you is yours. Nobody can take it from you. And it might be that there's another legal tech company out there, but the way you operate yours and the demographic and the community that yours is going to impact is different than the other ones. And so there's space for you in that market. And I believe that about the law student that wants to do entertainment law, the law student that wants to do criminal, whatever law they want to do, there's a space for you. You can't let anybody think they took your job. You didn't pass the bar this time. This was not the season for you to pass the bar. You will pass in another season. And if you never pass,
mm,
what are you going to do with your JD that is so
mm,
monumental that we recognize the true value of the JD outside of being a lawyer? Because there's so
mm.
much you can do with it, right? You could be a professor there, you could be so many different things. And there's so many people that are public figures today that have replicated their JD to do so many different things. So I digress, but I just say that I
Mm.
really love the underdog story. I'm always trying to champion it and help them accomplish their goals. And if anything, just keep inspire them, right? Make them continue to believe it's possible. Why not?
When you were, first of all, uh, I don't know if I said this, but you must work for Death Row Records because I feel like you, I feel like you try to take over here because you're saying these things. I'm like, man, this. I'm over here. I'm listen. I'm thinking. I'm taking in the moment.